Okay, Evan, which Discord question you want to hit us with first?
You want me to just go through them? All right.
Oh, okay.
We got a guy who's looking to pick up Cyberpunk 2077. He wants to play it on the current, next gen systems, but he's probably not going to get one until 2022. So he's mostly wondering what we think about whether or not the file will transfer from the current gen to the next gen, because I don't think CD Projekt Red said anything, and he's debating getting it on, I guess, the last generation of systems and hoping that it moves forward.
Which system did the cross? Well, no, you should. I'm sure they'll do that.
Yeah,
all the save data from the old consoles went to my new consoles. So
I think they actually did confirm that.
They did.
They went out
CD Projekt Red came forward.
To say that.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, remember, Witcher 3, even the Nintendo Switch save can be transferred over to the Steam version, and the Steam version can come across. I mean,
that's fine. I mean, I remember seeing the list where like the cross save was only like 6 things at one point in time, and then they eventually were thinking
they've improved it. But I could see CD Projekt Red actually having a focus on that cross gen stuff, because they're gonna look to sell Cyberpunk for quite a while. I'll tell you that now. Witcher 3 still gets sold fairly well, so I think you're safe going either way. I think the PS5 or the Series X, I think either one should accept the save without too much issue. So
we got a guy asking for the cast's opinion on Rumble feature. He's, through his use of the Switch, he started to like it, but then over time he's been turning it off in most of his games.
Okay, so the Rumble itself. Okay,
because I mean we're talking about the haptic and all that as well.
Advanced, yeah, because the PS5 and the Switch, the same company makes their Rumble motors now. So they basically have the same type of Rumble motors, which is good, because I would like to think that third parties might do something with it, or the technology is advanced. But it really comes down to the creativity from these developers, third parties specifically, to give you a reason to have it on.
It's pretty subtle in most Switch games today. So I mean, even Hyrule Warriors, it's pretty subtle here and there. It's nothing crazy. So there's no need for me to turn it off or get upset about it. It's just we've been having Rumble forever now, and it's just a little bit better. It's better Rumble now, It's individualized, motorized Rumble in certain parts. So I mean, it's no. To me, it's better, but I mean, I don't think there's any really need to turn it off, because a lot of developers don't even really use it. Really,
I do turn it off in Halo, because that Xbox controller still uses the same Rumble motors from the PS1 DualShock.
Yeah,
so.
well, Xbox, it's horrible in Xbox. The whole controller just starts shaking.
I can't believe. All right, so what do you think about this, MVG? Let me ask you first. All right, I'm just gonna go to random here on my screen. MVG. Okay, do you think it was a mistake for Microsoft to not do something else with the Xbox controller?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. What do you think, Ryan?
What was the question? Because you cut out on me.
Oh, do you think that it was a mistake for Microsoft to not try to do something a bit more with their controller? Like we hear about advanced had feel all of that.
Yeah, when I finally held one, I thought it was too safe. I do like the D-pad, but I thought this is way too safe.
What do you think,
they didn't
Nate?
do anything.
What do you think, Nate?
They needed to innovate in some other way, even if it was just as simple as adding, gyro. If you added the adaptive trigger,
it doesn't have gyro.
Yeah, it doesn't have gyro. Adaptive triggers would have been nice. I do like what they did with the controller, adding the extra grip on the back and the bumpers and the new D-pad.
It's a good feeling controller. It is.
The controller feels great. It's a fantastic controller from an ergonomic standpoint. It's just you need to add one little extra feature to really differentiate it from the Xbox One controller, and they didn't do it.
Baby.
Yeah, it has a new button.
Woohoo!
You know what the problem is? The less parity there is between any sort of unique features, it's just more of a pain in the ass for third party.
Mm-hmm.
How unique the touchpad was on PS4, but let's face it, the whole generation, they were buttons. How many games use swiping gestures on a DualShock 4?
Dude,
it's the same deal here.
That was a pretty sweet map button, though.
Yeah, it's a map button, but no swiping gestures, which is really unique. You almost forget that it can accept swipe gestures.
Yeah.
No developer does that. So the haptics and triggers, they feel great, but when you're shipping on 2 platforms and now they have to spec it to SX, we're in cross-gen, so X1, X1X, PS4, PS4 Pro. How many of them are reasonably going to add in all these extra features? Then Sony wants you to do PS Plus game help features, which is on developers. When you get too specific, nobody's going to take the time to do this stuff.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned that kind of gets ignored a little bit too. They'll be like,
there's 7 games on there.
Yeah,
and most of them are first party.
What do you think, OJ, about that Xbox show? You think they should have done some a little more good, a little bit of a risk there. Try something weird with the controller.
Maybe. I mean, I see why they didn't because of what they're kind of going for. They're already spending so much money with the 2 different models, and so I see why they didn't. Because they just had to spend time doing other things. But I do think with the you know how Xbox loves controllers, so I think maybe a new Elite could maybe add something in the future. Yeah. So, but yeah, they probably should have just done something, even if it was like low budget gimmicky, like a gyro or something. Yeah, maybe like even like if you split the controller into like 2 different rumble, you know, like just like even if it was just like one half and the other half, you know, or something, or like top and bottom, and make it like okay, you can control like if something's happening at the top, like it's rumbles at the top, like just make it to where it's not crazy. Like they're still using that old school like N64 rumble, right? Like so
I'd have been okay if they even just were like, hey, we put like paddles on it by default now. So every Xbox Series X controller just has like
back buttons are so good.
Yeah, like something like that. Just be like, yeah, now developers know that everyone who buys the Series X just has it.
People want back paddles. That's weird because that started as an accessibility feature for people. So it seems like accessibility for games is something people do actually take advantage of.
Those are on the DualSense now, right? Too. I mean, they added that now. Yeah, even though they added that piece for the. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, they did the DualShock 4 had the back buttons that sold out, and you would have thought that was kind of their like precursor to saying we're putting this feature as a standard thing on the DualSense, and it's weird that both of these companies have tested that type of idea of either the back buttons or paddles. And why they haven't just implemented it into their standard controller with the console itself is kind of confusing because they clearly see demand for these features.
Well, I mean, really, we used to use them on like those scuff controllers and stuff. We used to drill into Xbox controllers to get them so we could jump without taking our thumbs off of the sticks. That's why we did it with Halo back in the day.
Spawn, hear me out. All right. Skate 4 comes out, right?
Okay, how did this happen? All right, go ahead.
All right. So instead of you use the sticks to do the controls, use the touchpad. You know how it shows you the way it's supposed to look on the screen when you're using the controller? You just draw the shape and you do the trick based on drawing the shape accuracy.
Yo, how are they going to use those adaptive triggers in Skate 4? See now
how tight you grab the board. You're doing an air grab.
Man.
Which way you pull it, how hard you I don't know. But I'm just saying there could be some cool features with that.
We got another Discord question, Evan?
Since haptic feedback's now in the PlayStation family through Sony, do we think we'll see more of that coming out with other consoles? This is just like kind of, I guess, what we talked about with the Xbox. Specifically, this guy's talking about whatever the next generation or next iteration of the Nintendo Switch is.
Wait, what was it? You said haptic or advanced?
Haptic feedback. Because now that Sony is using it, should technically make it cheaper to produce because now more people need it. So they just... Yeah,
I mean, the Switch already uses it. My hope is that developers just... because it becomes the default, it's up to Microsoft to do it. Maybe they put in their Elite controller, like OJ said, but like at this point, it's up to developers to now develop for it because it's the Sony uses it too. So now 2 systems out of the 3 use it. So that would be good. Yeah, I think Nintendo will continue to work with the Immersion. That's the company that does it as well. So and hey, they got a ton of business than Immersion, so you would assume they'd also advance their technology. What's another one, Evan?
Thoughts on coil wine, specifically this guy's system has it. He's really annoyed by it, and he's wondering if it's worth a return.
I believe they're accepting returns on. I think they are. Last I saw, it was like a 3-week turnaround time. So
I have it on mine. It is a mild annoyance because my Xbox Series S is like I can't hear it at all. It's whisper quiet, right? But I mean, for me, it's not really a big deal. Like, I'm playing Demon's Souls, I'm playing Call of Duty. Those games, by rights, would absolutely blast the hell out of my PS4 Pro fans.
Oh, so yeah.
I'm calling this a victory either way. Like, could it be better? Yes, but I can live with it. But I know it does bother some people more than
I have good news for you, MG, because I can here today confirm that if you have a heavy blanket that blocks out sound, the PS5 would be completely fine with it on top of it. The fan will just get kind of loud. Go. That may have been tested at some point.
Did you just tell thousands of people to put a blanket over their
No, don't do that. I actually said as part of the thing, I was like, I should probably say this might be a fire. I'm gonna let people know that right now as a disclaimer. What do you think?
Tell Trick 2020 confirmed.
Hey, the PS5 fought through it though. It kept going. What do you think, Ryan, about the coil wine? What do you think? Should he look into a replacement for that if it's bugging? What do you think?
If they get enough of them, they're going to not take them anymore. PC manufacturers don't even take them.
Yeah,
Normally you can't RMA for that. So,
Yeah.
but it's interesting for a console because this isn't like everyone's like, oh, it's making this buzzing noise, like what? But like people don't realize this is like a problem on GPUs and depending on the power supply you have. So, and you can hear it. Like I did a noise test video where I demonstrated, like I exaggerated. I put a mic right next to the damn thing, but I exaggerated it on Demon Souls. When you change the modes, cinematic performance, the pitch changes immediately. It is coil whine, but consoles are always either far away from people or PS4 the fan's super loud. I think most people just aren't aware that now that the thing's too quiet. So now that it has if it has coil whine, you can actually, depending on the pitch and your sensitivity, you can hear it.
That's a good point. Is the fan turned on him real quick?
But how much
they made
now?
it too quiet.
Because now this has become this big public thing. How many people are now sitting there with their ear up against their PS5 like, I need to see if I hear something so I can have this problem.
You gotta be close to it. I think you have to be really close to it. If it's on your desk, then you're like maybe your face is 2 feet away from it or closer.
I mean,
but
I like just having the sound on for my TV. I don't even hear my PS5 or my Xbox.
Yeah.
Didn't Mark Sony want us to take
3D
a
audio
sample of our ears, Nate?
Over ears.
Yes, he
Is that
did.
what- is
I
that
want a
what-
picture of yours.
Yeah, you want a picture of our ears so he could study our inner ear canal.
All right,
Maybe
Mark,
this is the way.
we'll roll the dice. All right, let's do this. Yeah. So, what was the next Discord question, Evan? So we go through
last one because I guess we're last one because we're I guess going to go into the awards anyway after this.
Yeah.
Last year, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order came out late and is mostly, except for Action Award this year, getting snubbed from pretty much anything because of it's
a
just being
travesty.
back there. Do we think Cyberpunk's going to get hit with the same thing?
Nope.
No.
I just don't think it will. Even though I think Fallen Order should have got a couple extra looks. Yeah, I think Cyberpunk will. It'll probably still be talked about next year too.
Yeah, they'll throw bags around. They'll be in there.
Bags just chucking bags.
Also, the difference is like it's going to get a next gen update too. So whenever that come out,
It's going to join the conversation again when a proper next gen version shows up.
No, you know what? I bet you they'll be talking about the multiplayer then anyway. This time next year, we'll start talking about that multiplayer mode, and like, yeah, it'll still be around in the
Didn't they
conversation.
say that the multiplayer is a little ways off?
And are we sure it's still releasing with it? Because I thought there was a story that dropped
no,
at
the
one point
multiplayer's
where it
like-
was going to be separate.
The
It's
multiplayer is
separate.
like 2 years. It's 2 years off, but we'll be probably getting into the because they've been showing us how many videos for Night City now in like the last year leading up to this. So like by this time next year, we'll probably be like a year or maybe a little more out from the multiplayer dropping, and they'll start probably showing us those Night City type videos for it. Just like, hey, this is how you go through this mode or this or any of that. So it'll be in the conversation. It'll be in the news. Fallen Order just fell out of the news completely. So it's
Maybe
like, I don't really talk about it.
If they did like, well, no, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way they could have got a next gen up because the systems just weren't out. But maybe if the system somehow launched earlier and there was a next gen update with it, with some maybe added, maybe Fallen Order would have got like another, breath, like,
Jeff
look at it again.
says as a voter it'll get forgotten about. That's interesting considering that this is a huge game. It's got to stay in the conversation because it will have continual updates and that proper next gen version that they're promising, because there's a soft next gen version when it comes out this December. But
I mean, it also depends on
It also depends how good the game's actually going to be. It could come out and be disappointing, and then by January, everyone's forgotten about this game. If the game comes out and it's amazing and it's long and then it could be that long-term conversation. But there is a chance that this game underwhelms, and come February, no one even remembers Cyberpunk came out.
Well, hold on. Oh, go ahead, Jordan. Go on.
I was gonna say, like, the expectations that are also on this. Like, some people have it in their head, and even I've been guilty of this, of being like, "Oh, this game's gonna be like the best thing ever." But even if it's gonna disappoint. Just even if it's a great game, it's already gonna disappoint a lot of people's expectations because it's not living up to what they've fantasized for the last decade about this game.
yeah, this game's too high on a pedestal now. That's a good
I
point.
agree.
Yep. Yeah,
And think about what's coming out next year. I mean, right now we're anticipating Breath of the Wild 2, Resident Evil 8. There's going to be some fantastic games that we know are coming out in 2021. Is Cyberpunk really going to be at the forefront of your mind?
Probably have God of War, Horizon.
Yeah, there's a lot of 2021 software. So once all these games hit, you're not remembering that game you played last December that was Cyberpunk. You're remembering all these fantastic. How many games do you remember that you you've probably forgotten games you've played this year.
I almost forgot Doom Eternal. I'll be honest.
Everyone
That came
has.
out in March. I mean, that's the
Doom
thing. A
Eternal,
lot of
I
people
almost
forgot about
forgot
that.
It popped up on the Game of the Year. I was like, oh yeah, that game. That's right.
Even
It popped up on Game Pass for me, and I was like, oh yeah, this existed.
I remembered it. I mean, just because we were covering it, but that's the only reason why is because like it kept on kind of like people complaining, where's the Switch version, or where's this, or the DLC came out too, so that also kind of reminded me a little.
Yeah,
bit.
we almost have an answer to where the Switch version is.
I know.
I just had to tweet about it.
Is that what got it going?
Bethesda was like, oh well, we got to say something now.
Now we got to say something. John talked about it.
All I had to do was call game.
Causing controversies.
Yep, I know.